I want to take a look at Suleja prison break. I said one too many. We heard about the Kuje prison break. I heard about the one in Imo State. We also had the one in some states of the Federation. And this time around, they're blaming it on weather conditions. Some are saying that from what they observed, the war was tinkered with. Nobody's talking about that. Some are saying they saw, signs of smoke by the war, and nobody's talking about that. Now, how come over 100 inmates were able to get the sign, to see the war brought down, so to speak, by Mother Nature, and they went for it? Over 100. Now, when you see them doing some of that work for the prison, was this planned? Was it premeditated, or is just happened? I still have my analyst in the studio. I have Honorable Steve Osewege. I also have Honorable Dennis, and of course Honorable Destiny in Abulele. I want to start out with you, Honorable Steve. Now, what do you feel about this? This is not the first time in Nigeria we're hearing about prison break. Not the first time hearing about, inmates escaping, and now over 4,000 inmates at large, and they are looking for these inmates, even extending the search into IDPs. Take it up from there.
Well, it is. I think the criminal justice system, of course, in Nigeria needs a lot of work, and investments in correctional facilities have not been very encouraging. So there was a situation where one of the candidates in the last presidential election visited inmates in his own state. I'm talking about Peter Obi. He went to the correctional facility in Anambra, and that gave a close look at what goes on behind. So most Nigerians do not really know the situation of both infrastructure and welfare of the inmates. What could lead to that level of desperation for them to make for it? Is it possible that they saw it as a way to escape as a result of the way the conditions are? So I think proper investigations should be made. It's a security breach. For me, I feel that the Nigerian correctional facilities should there should be more investments to make sure things like this do not occur. If it's Mother Nature, we understand that flooding and climate change is coming. There should be hardening of our infrastructure, because we don't know. There's also a case whereby a lot of people in prison houses are awaiting trial. That's another conversation for another day. But some criminals that have been convicted are there, and they may be dangerous to society. So I want to employ the authorities to take steps. You mentioned around those Niger State, Suleja area, there are many IDP camps, thanks to the insurgents that have been plaguing our country. And the first duty of any government, even in Edo State, for example, or nationally, is the security of life and property. So the government of the Niger State, as well as the federal government, should take steps to protect the citizens by fishing out those who have illegally left detention, because we need to know who they are, where they are, before there can be a repeat of crime, because there is a psychology of criminal minds that there's a tendency to repeat that if given the opportunity to go into society without proper controls. So I am concerned, and security has become a big issue, which is why we, from my own end as Nigerians, we are asking the government to do more. But correctional facilities as a whole should get more investment to make life a little more better for those in the prison wards.
I'll come back to you, Steve. Now, what I have to say, comment Dennis, on this particular issue, this is not the first. Some are saying that there is this foul play, because you just can't say that after Mother Nature struck, those predators knew the right time to bail out. Some are saying there is a foul play connected to this, which they don't want us to now talk about the prison walls. It's like, thick, very, very thick. So how come it's just a flood? Some would use the term mere flood. You understand? Fell the prison wall. Take it up from there.
Okay. In these issues of prison break, I want to emphasize on two things. Because most things that we do in Nigeria is just to focus on the situation, not forgetting, or we are forgetting the cause of the situation. So for this thing not to repeat itself again, we have to derive measures to absorb the problems or what has just happened just now. So now, if you follow up the incessant breaking of these prisons, I've drawn out two things. One is the lack of facilities, security facilities that these inmates don't have. Then two, it is what? The lack of empowerment by the government. Now, there's a research I did on this prison break. The army, I think the Kuje prison break of, 2019 or so, 2020, if I'm not making a mistake, said the reason why that situation occurred was because the fence, I will quote, because the fence were low, no CCTV camera. And when I make a research on when Kuje prison was established, I think it was established in the early 1980s. So imagine over 32 or 33 years ago, these prisons has not been advanced to the recent advancement of today. How can you put people, and so to say, I think there are over 500 inmates that were supposed to be there, and you are conjugating over 1,000 persons there. So the overpopulation, the lack of advanced security measures causes prison break. So now, when we are able to define the problem, that is when I will agree with my brother here, that says that the government should invest more on the prison's advancement. That is one.
Agreeing with him.
Of course, this is a national issue. This is a national issue. Then secondly, when we, I believe some people watch film, do research. There's something I love about the American security. And quote me, every crime has a value, so to say, or status quo. The individual as well has a value. Now, we have the Kuje prison and any other, let's say, prisons. If the politician is being wanted for crime, they will be placed in the Kuje prison. If maybe like just the case of the CBN placed there, Boko Haram placed there, this individual has various value, which will emancipate for the anticipation of their release. And with that can conspire, bring about conspiracy for this prison to be broken. I don't understand. So I would want to advise the government that various prisons or eminent should be spread across strategic points. You don't pack people or people of various value on a singular prison where will lead to the rise of conspiracy. So, for example, now you have the Kuje prison, maybe the Oko prison in Benin. If somebody, the Boko Haram of the 2022, let's say the 200 or 300 persons were caught. You place 20 in the Kuje prisons, you place 50 in the Oko prisons, in Suleja and that. Then when you now have a conspiracy that want to come against their capture, they can't go around the, let's say, 15 or 10 prisons to release these emirates. I don't know if you understand. So now that is why I want to use this opportunity to advise the government that when people are being captured for a particular crime, the service of their crime should be spread across various prisons, not to be put in a particular prison. You have very much pressure on that facility. Thank you very much.
Honorable, you heard both of them. They spoke on, almost the same way about the situation at correctional facilities. And right now we're taking a look at the prison war given way. And over 100 inmates escaped. This is the first time I have an issue of prison break. But somebody said that some things are fishy about this particular prison. After all, prison war is meant to be thick to withstand any weather condition, at least to contain inmates with, ulterior motive that has nefarious tendencies if they are released, unleashed, so to speak, right now in quote, into the society. How come we find ourselves here?
Yeah, we say, for me, I'm not surprised. You see, it is in Nigeria that we are always fervent about a destination, not knowing that it is journey that will take us there. For me, I'm not surprised. It's the way you make a bed, that's the way you lie on it. You see, I said it earlier, that when the fundamentals are right, it will be self-sustaining. We've had a fundamental issue, so that's why we are here today. I think I listened to some of the cock and bull story that they narrated in the Kuje, that it was supposed to house, whether 100 or something, if I'm not mistaken.
500.
No, 200 and something, but it's now housing close to 500. It's overpopulated.
People in Suleja prison also.
Yes, it's overpopulated. If you go around, just like what the the two speakers rightly said, you see, there's a continuous overhauling of the system. That we've not been doing. Perhaps the person that was being awarded a contract to build a very thick one, maybe 20 inches, is now giving us 6 inches. Nobody is monitoring. So there's always kickbacks. They've shared the money. Because before now it was always been share, let's share. Not knowing that there's a future tomorrow. For me, when I had, it will definitely still come back.
Of course.
I'm not the prophet of doom. So for me, I'm not taking it back. I'm not surprised. Because the worst is yet to happen.
God forbid.
I'm sorry. Today is Sunday. Okay, God forbid. Yeah. But you know what you can do for yourself and you're not waiting for God to. It's insanity. Am I right? Yeah. You know you can do this thing. I know Osemige can do it. I say, Osemige, let me come and kabash on you. You see that myself is sorry from insanity, or both of us are in the same path. So that is the irony of the Nigerian state. We must go back to the basis. As we speak, states can have prisons. There are state offenses. That's why for some of us, we want devolution, concentrating power to the center. For me, it's not right. We must give the center to be saddled with the responsibility of territorial defense and foreign policies. Then let states, local government handle the rest. Why will you not put a man that slapped the wife and a terrorist man in the same room?
The same room.
In the same room.
That's what we're saying.
So what do you want to make out of it? That's why you see when they call it a correctional. What is correctional? I think the opposite. There's nothing correctional in it. I'm not the prophet of doom, but I'm just saying it the way it is. Nigeria, the problem is enormous. And all of us must speak in one voice. So for us, as a people, what is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. We must go back to the drawing board, as I already said. For us not to have a repeat. I used the word just now. You said God forbid. True. God will forbid.
All right, gentlemen, so we have just barely 2 minutes to go. So, I mean, what do you think should be done at correctional center? Because the U.S. is like that, so perfect in maintaining a correctional center. If you go to some countries in Netherlands, you get to see free, as in nobody in jail in some countries in Europe.
Yes.
It's just
Norway.
Norway, yeah.
Norway.
Scandinavia.
Scandinavia would be like,
yeah.
What is the need for crime? Please take it up on that, because our time is up.
Yes, thank you very much. That came to mind when this story broke, and I said, in Norway, some prisons are being closed down because there's nobody to arrest.
Yes.
I think imprisonment is a relic of colonization and neo-colonization. As a matter of fact, the first prisons were slave-catching ventures. When in America, the African slaves were trying to escape for freedom, they needed somewhere to catch them. That's what history says. Even the British Empire used a place now called Australia as a prison. So we cannot continue to punish and say it's correctional. I agree with my honorable. We need to invest in places so that there will be trainings. People can go into these places. When they come out, become artisans, become educated.
Become reform.
Yeah, that's what happens. Like you mentioned, America, they have education and all that. But first of all, we know publicly, generally, we don't have education enough for our people. Anyway. So we cannot now. So let us improve upon it. Infrastructure is important because it's a security risk.
All right. Our time is up. We could have given us a signal. 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, okay.
Quickly.
Now, I want to quickly respond to what my brother here just said.
30 seconds.
Now, yes, of course. We cannot basically say we want to rule out the system of prisons. That is where the philosophy I said before comes with the value of the crime. So where the correctional facilities can come in, basically, it is when it has to do with minor cases.
Minor cases. Thank you so much. I know you have so much to say. Just 30 seconds. Well, time is up.
No, for me, yes. As rightly said, we must go back to the basics, redefine the Nigerian. He said something just now, that this mentality we inherited from our colonial master is what I put out in this quagmire. And in doing it, we must redefine what goes for us. Like the Nigerian police, for instance, it's what we inherited. The bat and whatever. The police ought to be friendly. So when they say correctional, I use the word, for me, there's nothing correctional in it. It's the reverse.
All right, thank you so much. We're pressed for time. Our time is up. Well, you've heard them. The first discussion that I can't survive. I saying the same thing. Yeah, it's true. Politics with emotions. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you once more. Appreciate your comment. We'll do it again next week, Sunday, God willing. Bye for now.